Alrighty, so you would not believe the difficulties I've been to create this video. Hey everybody, this is BBL Season 2, Weeks 8, 9 and 10, all into one big mega package. Let me explain what's happened. So, my recording hardware and software has never been too brilliant. And so I've just spent the last 2 hours throttling OBS until it works, and it finally does. Yeah, so first of all, apologies. Firstly to you guys who are watching this. BBL, the main season has actually been done now for a week. And so to have both week 10 and then weeks 8 and 9 out late isn't really acceptable. It's not for me, it shouldn't be for anybody. I'd just like to apologise. My life has been quite hectic recently, to say the very least, and I've understood where my limit is for the number of leagues that I should be in and the amount of upload time I should leave myself. Which has all been a learning experience, and we will hear more about this I'm hoping to do a summary video / podcasty kind of thing over for the kind of like the first part of 2019 and how I've done, what I've done, what I've learned, how I'm going to try and put that into work. But anyway, other apologies to BBL itself, because again, this is poor form to be showing it, and it deserves better. It has been a very, very good season despite my current record, and yeah, it deserves better, because we're actually, the more people who see it, the better it is, because actually it's quite a nice community. And finally, sorry Aaron, sorry, I've run you round a lot this season. Sorry. Anyway, yeah. So week 8, we have we're playing Blue of the San Diego Elves. It's a fun team to play against, and so what we see here is my prep. Just kind of gonna wave over it, because at this point I wasn't particularly putting masses of effort into my prep. I was just wanting to bring a couple of interesting sets and have some fun. Was the main thing. But yeah, so what we see here, also at the bottom, which you just about can't see. We also bought Mega Gyarados along with the other 5, so I brought choice specs. Salazzle with Dragon Pulse. Dragon Pulse is a roll to KO most Mega Charizards. Scarflando comes in handy. The issue is that it kind of suffers from Mooslot syndrome. I wasn't really sure what to prep for. In the end, I felt that I kind of need both Iron Tail and Sludge Wave, as it's probably my loosest, what could be understood to be a Glalie counter for late game. Breloom, Toxcorp tries to get some sort of status off as well. An AV Solgaleo, which does work if I manage to get Gyarados low early in the game. A Chesto, Resto Chesto, Giratina, slightly weird Dragon Tail, Pain Split, Earth Power. Just, it's looking to maintain its health, that's all. Hang around and be annoying. And finally the Mega Gyarados, which is a bit cookie cutter. But yeah, so we get into the video. Not even the video, the replay, because so week 8 and 9 were on Showdown due to me having a couple of issues with my DS. Thankfully they're resolved now, ready for the playoffs and the 2 other leagues I play in. But so what we're going to see here is that, so I lead Breloom versus the Glalie. I can't afford to stay in because I want to just preserve Breloom for this thing. And so we bring in Solgaleo versus the Glalie. It switches down to Groudon. We'll go for the Flame Charge just to see what it wants, because versus the Glalie. We're going to switch into Mega Gyarados to get the Intimidate off, and so we go for the Ice Fang to try and get damage off on the Groudon. But Clefable switches in. We then decide to go for the Iron Head as well. We get it down to quite low, but it goes to Thunder Wave, which is less than ideal. I fully anticipate this is going to quickly slow it down. So I fully anticipated that we're actually going to pause it as well. I fully anticipated a soft boiled there as I switched in Lando. The last thing I expected was for the Clefable to attack, because actually it can do a reasonable amount versus my squad. It just needs a little bit of health. But so to see, excuse me, the Moonblast pop off was unexpected, and so we now have actually one of the most useful things on my squad here. Kind of have had its wings clipped, and I'm going to need to rely more on Solgaleo to deal with Glalie. So what we see here is that the Crobat has now switched in. On the Sludge Wave, I decided not to hang around and sack it. Lando could come in handy later on. We go into Giratina, which is kind of a safe switch, apart from the fact that Crobat reveals that it's Life Orb Shadow Ball, which is really quite handy versus my squad. That's not fun at all, and it also sets up in my face. Thankfully, we have the Dragon Tail, phases it out. But so Glalie comes in, we can't hang around. Switch into Mega Gyarados as it goes for the second set of spikes, which is also not ideal because we have 4 mons which are grounded. And so here on this turn, so I Mega up because I have nothing left to lose now. Kind of everything that I wanted to hurt to a certain extent, I have. The Clefable is still low, which is the main thing. And so here, with when the Glalie was in, nothing really appreciated a waterfall, and so actually because it's T-waved up, I kind of anticipated Megazard X to switch in to try and take advantage of it and have an opportunity to set up. So I clicked waterfall. Unfortunately though, we full para, which is really pants. It probably sucks because that would have OHKO'd. And so for our troubles, because we fully parried, we then get critted on the Dragon Claw. I'm not going to switch out and let this thing set up in my face. And so actually the waterfall is doing kind of a roll for a 2-hit KO on the Charizard, so you really can't afford to try and set up. And so again, we just see that the one time where not being parried would have come in handy, it did full para. But so we switch out. We see that the Charizard is at full. I decided to just click Dragon Pulse because out of all of the things which I think Blue would have expected from this Salazzle, it was not Dragon Pulse, and it wouldn't be a Choice Specs Dragon Pulse either. If I was Blue, I would be expecting a Toxic because my team can't properly handle the Zard, and I need a free switching into Lando. Oh, it's so nice that I actually have OBS working now because I can actually speak about what I was thinking. But yeah, so I was quite happy just to click Dragon Pulse here because, yeah, it was one of those where it was a roll. It was quite a mid roll as well as to whether or not it OHKO'd, and so. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, for a Salazzle to switch into a Charizard, it's kind of unheard of. And from how I was struggling with Charizard, if I was in Blue's shoes, I'd be sitting here looking at a Salazzle expecting a Toxic or like an HP ground of some sort. And so I'd be kind of happy to sit in and just take this thing down because it causes untold issues if you have Groudon. If you let Groudon set up the sun, then this is in. It causes a lot of issues. So I click the Dragon Pulse and we do OHKO, which is quite nice. So the Megazard X is down, a huge issue. However, so from that, we have revealed that we're Choice Specs, which means that the Clefable is the easy switcher. Once again, I predicted that, so most likely blue is going to try and recover back some health. So I switch into Solgaleo because there is no Clefable that can take a hit from a Solgaleo. And he goes for the Fire Blast. The Fire Blast lands and it does a huge ton. Another really... So I don't know whether... So that one definitely was probably a read. But yeah, blue, mate, you're making the plays. You're making the plays. They're awesome plays. I'll give you that much with the Clefable. But yeah, so we're now down to quite low with the Solgaleo. And so now I just want to click Sunsteel Strike because nothing really appreciates a Sunsteel Strike. And yeah, so he brings in Groudon. We're just under kind of like a 3-hit KO. And actually, I just want damage on the Solgaleo now. Kind of Solgaleo's... I just wanted damage on the Groudon. Solgaleo turned into more of a support role instead of trying to clear out the game. So generally when it gets down to a low health, its speed is its main crippling factor because it needs to be a decent amount of health at the point when it starts causing issues. Otherwise it just turns into a bit of a breaker from how I've used it, at least. And so because Groudon was at quite a high amount of health, but it has no safe recovery apart from like rest, I just wanted to get the damage off, because at this point it's a free switch into Salazzle, and so it means that something dies. Like there's all manner of things that could switch in. All of them die from the Specs Fire Blast in some. And so he sacks Groudon, which is a fair play. It's done what it needed to do. Zeraora comes in. I go to just sack the Mega Gyarados because it's also done its job to a certain extent. It's got Clefable though. That's all I really wanted out of it because it was a nice lure. However, the Zeraora goes for Substitute, which is a really nice play again. And so you kind of, this thing is now a bit of an issue. I hadn't really anticipated it being much of an issue for my squad. But so now I kind of need to sacrifice Breloom to it because it's going to do something which hurts it a lot. Well, you go for the Bullet Seed and it breaks the sub, thankfully. He went for Hidden Power, most probably an HP Ice, considering how he had preserved the Zeraora till now. And how HP Ice does a reasonable amount to the rest of my squad. He switches in Clefable to sack it off. That's fine. And so what we see here is that the Crobat comes back in. This thing is becoming more and more of an issue. However, game-defining move. This is the move where I really wish that I put Rock Slide on Landorus. So it probably would have KO'd. I can't remember the calcs. But so at this point, I decided to click Iron Tail because it's the only thing that actually touches the Crobat. It gets decent damage on Zeraora and Glalie. It's not 100% accurate, which has been the bugbear for all 3 of the leagues that I've played in. Kind of this year so far. But so if I'm able to take out the Crobat, which Iron Tail, if I remember correctly, did, then I'm sitting in really quite a nice position where either it forces the Glalie out, and so I can predict the HP Ice. Oh, not the HP Ice. What am I talking about? The Ice Shard. And switch into Giratina, which was still at a reasonable amount of health, and I think it could take 2. Or alternatively, if Zeraora switches in, in fact, to be honest, with both of them, kind of my go-to switching is Giratina, because at this point Giratina has lost its main issue that it was having to deal with. So I click the Iron Tail, and we miss. And so the significance of this miss basically means that so from this point onwards, Crobat is a huge issue because we can't safely kind of do what we want to do with Giratina, get back its health, and then start causing issues with Dragon Tail and Earth Power. And it also it's hard enough having one Mon that outsped Salazzle. However, having two means that it's guaranteed to have to take something, because it will have to switch in or come in on a faster Mon, take the damage, and then try and work with what it has left. So my play here was to switch into Giratina. You can see my dismay in the chat. So that's also to be expected. We get the Roost up as the Crobat also goes for Roost. We get the Rest up even. We eat our Chesto Berry. And so the name of the game now is to just click Dragon Tail. Trying to just keep stuff phasing. All of his mons now have a move for Giratina, which will do a reasonable amount of damage. The issue is that Crobat is the one that we can't touch properly. But yeah, so we reveal the Earth Power on the sub from Zeraora, and then we go for the Dragon Tail again, just to keep stuff pivoting. We're now to low enough health where it's kind of it's touch and go as to whether or not we can take two Shadow Balls from Crobat. And so we switch back into the Zeraora. I click Earth Power again because I don't expect Crobat to try and switch in if I'm just clicking Dragon Tail, because it's just free damage. And so also it's at the point when Zeraora was in. Let's go back. Yeah, so at this point, I felt that at this point Zeraora had done its job, or at least had contributed to what needed to happen, which was that Giratina was getting to a low enough health where if I clicked Rest, I'd just be continually clicking Rest at trying to stall out, which I didn't really want to do. I still felt that I could try and carve a path with Salazzle. The reason I didn't switch in on the HP Ices, which I think, well, it has to be HP Ice, I think, given the fact that it was super effective on Giratina and Breloom, was the fact that I wasn't certain whether or not I could take a Plasma Fist. So I wasn't certain of the particular spread that Zeraora was, and so I didn't want to just lose basically my offensive win con for this situation. But yeah, so so I fully expected kind of Zeraora to be sacked off at this point. If what I've shown is that I'm just clicking Dragon Tail and trying to pivot stuff out now. And so if Crobat was to switch in again and just get Dragon Tailed again, it's more free damage on it for it to then have to be pivoted out. Whereas if Zeraora gets the damage off and then gets sacked off, it's then Giratina is then more than likely in range of a Shadow Ball from Crobat, which is what we see is what transpired. As it goes to the HP Ice, I knock out the Zeraora. I guess it would have been preferable for him if I clicked Dragon Tail and so Zeraora was still actually around, because the other two could still carry the Giratina. But so at this point, it's now just it's wholly dependent on whether or not Blue has another piece of coverage on Crobat. We've only seen Shadow Ball, Roost, and one other thing, which has escaped my mind, I think. And whether or not Glalie is such a Sash, Banded, Explosion, Ice Shard, Earthquake, who knows. But it goes to the Shadow Ball, which doesn't KO, and so the Fire Blast does manage to take out the Crobat. However, at this range, we are now in range of the Ice Shard from Glalie, so we lose 1-0. So after talking with Blue, he was kind enough to show us the sets. And so Glalie was Sash, as you can see in the chat as well, he also told me. But so Crobat also had Air Slash. Just the reason that Blue didn't click it more often than never was they were worried that it would miss, understandably.